Welcome to Beyond the Riverwalk, the local weekly podcast that brings San Antonio's most remarkable people, places, and events directly to you. All links discussed will be in the show notes, so sit back, relax, and join Kevin and Melissa Barron as they ask the questions that you would. Now, let's get the conversation started.
Welcome back, everyone. This is Kevin, and this is Beyond the Riverwalk. And joining me today is my wife,
Melissa.
And Melissa's happy, and I'm glad that she's back. We're here with us, all you and everybody that's listening.
All y'all,
because she's been having a little bit of health issues. So she's not been on the last couple of shows for various reasons, but she is back now. So thank y'all for all the kind notes and the feedback and
prayers.
Yeah, definitely. But again, we're kind of back on track here, and I've used my big mouth to keep everything going in the meantime, and hopefully she'll jump in quite a bit today because we have a really interesting guest. Jennifer Donbavand is with us, and you may know her as Alamo Foodie on Instagram. And I don't know, some of you may know, before we bring her on, years and years and years ago, back in another lifetime, we were in South Carolina living there, and we used to do a food blog. So when we found Jennifer's account online, it was sort of like, oh, wait, this is cool. This is like the new version of what we used to do when we were back in the Stone Age.
A kindred spirit.
Yeah, there you go. So we were anxious to have her on. So let's, without further ado, I guess, welcome, Jennifer. Thank you for being on the show today.
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Well, this should be a lot of fun. I mean, our whole thing years ago was to get out and meet people and get to know the area we were living in and that kind of thing. It's sort of what we're doing now with the podcast here. So it really did help do that. So I guess just to back up quite a bit, how did you get into doing this, and why did you get into doing this? And just to let everybody know, if they want to go pull it up now, it's Alamo Foodie on Instagram and on Twitter. And I guess where else you can do a search on the Googles and find her. So how did you get into this in the first place?
Yeah, it's a great question and kind of a random story. It was not anything that I had really planned on doing, but I have 3 daughters and a husband, and we have always loved to kind of get out and to discover our city too, kind of what you just said that you and your wife like to do. And so we, just on my personal account, would, go out to eat or go find different experiences around the city or go grab a drink on date night. And, when I would share it on my own personal page, I just had a lot of people that, would end up commenting on it. And on random weekends or weeknights, I would get messages saying, hey, I'm going here. Do you have any suggestions? And so I was like, why are they even asking me for suggestions? I don't know what I'm doing. But from then, let me back up a little bit. So for my real job, sort of the way I make money is I work in the insurance business. I'm a regional director for a team of sales underwriters that work across the country that protect small business owners through, work comp insurance, liability insurance, things like that on the company side. I'm not an agent, but
okay.
In that we got to meet so many small business owners, just hearing their passion and kind of, them putting everything that they have on the line to follow their dreams really inspires me every day, even to this day today. And so once I started kind of getting people asking me for suggestions and then, remembering these businesses around our city that were looking for support, it kind of came together with that. So I was like, maybe I'll just try to start something where we go around, and if there's some really great businesses with some good stories and great products and food and ideas, maybe I can help bring kind of the city together. And so that's really how it started. And I only started it probably last March, so it's been a little over a year, almost a year and a half now. But it just kind of took off, and I'm very blessed that people care to listen to my opinion, but even more so, happy that I'm able to support all of the local business owners in our community that work really hard to put their dream out there.
Yeah, I think the whole idea of social media has made local business owners and promotion of the one-off place, the mom and pop place, or just even the local brand so much easier. And I guess, better. But you got to have folks out there who are champions that are not just you pushing your own thing. So I think that's one of the things it sounds like you do, is to find these local folks that need a little bit of exposure, enjoy it, get the experience out of it, and share your feedback on it. And, I think that's a positive thing. There's so much negative out there. That's one of the things we always liked about the restaurant stuff we used to do, is we always published stuff that was positive. And if for whatever reason we didn't like it, we just didn't publish anything about it.
Sure.
It was just left off the table.
Well, everybody has an off night.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. That's
absolutely true. Yes, definitely. Well, and the great thing is that, because I'm very blessed that I have a good job outside of this hobby, I never, charge. I'm trying very hard to make sure it doesn't turn into like a, personal advertising page. Like I really want to try to keep it as authentic as possible. So never charge anybody to go there. I try not to even, tell them, so it doesn't feel like an authentic experience. And they don't feel like I'm trying not to pay for something. So I'm able to give back to them. So it's been a really cool experience.
Yeah, it sounds a lot similar to what we tried to do way back in the day. But part of your thing, you talked about the fact that you're responsible for these folks around the country in your normal day job. It sounds like also from looking at the account that you get to travel periodically here and there. How much of what you do is focused on San Antonio versus other parts of the country, and then how do they compare?
Sure. So I would say probably 95% of what I do is San Antonio focused. If I do travel, I do get to travel some for work, and then me and my husband like to travel when we can, but we also, have 3 kids, so it's not cheap or easy a lot to get away. But when we do, I definitely like to share kind of my experiences. Because I know social media, that's where I try to find a lot of the places that we go when we travel. And so love to share that for the people that get out there. But it's usually, to be honest with you, not super popular when you go outside of San Antonio, just because the biggest part of your base is San Antonio. Probably, again, 95% of my followers are San Antonio locals, or around this immediate area. And so I definitely share when I'm out, but the primary focus is definitely here in town.
Well, how do the cities compare, or maybe even another angle on it? How have you seen, I guess the food scene change from you being interested in it to building the page, building the account, to now the last year or so you've been doing it? What's happening in the San Antonio food scene that you think is interesting?
It's so cool how we have kind of grown this part of our culture and expanded it, but yet kept kind of our roots. So I was a military brat. My dad was Air Force, so I was lucky to kind of grow up all over the place. I moved here towards the end of my school age days, and then ended up in Austin. I went to UT, and in Austin, that's really where I started to become interested in food, because they were really great about having more of the local mom and pops. Not as many chain restaurants around, just easier to get to, not super expensive. And so definitely found my way around there, but that was a long time ago because I'm old. But I graduated UT in 2001, then lived in London for a little while, came back. And I think a lot of people originally thought of San Antonio as not having a huge culinary scene. 15, 20 years ago, you would go down, you would almost always end up heading over to a chain restaurant to eat, which there's nothing wrong with that either. I'm not a food snob in that sense, but it's sometimes you weren't able to find the individual mom and pops. Over the last couple of years, I would say it started to grow, but even in the last year in particular, it's just so cool to see the certain areas of town popping up with different areas that you can kind of just go and park and walk around and hop. Southtown is great. The Rim, even over, by La Cantera, has started to pop up with a lot of cool places. The Stone Oak area. So it's really starting to come alive here, and it's exciting.
One of the kind of go-to places, I guess, that we have or destinations or area of town is the Pearl. We live on the eastern side of town, and it's easy for us to get there. It's easy for us to get downtown versus going northwest, which is where we used to live. So we've kind of gotten to know a good bit of the city, but for some reason we end up, either downtown or at the Pearl, most places. And that is something that we had no idea before we moved to this part of town. We had no idea. I guess just the diversity of the different things that are there, the amount of people that go, and that's probably one of the better known ones. But what are you seeing as the places that you tend to get gravitated to, whether it's parts of town or different areas of the city generally?
Sure. Yeah, we love the Pearl too. My 13-year-old thinks it's super cool, so she doesn't mind going. My 3-year-old loves the splash pad. And my husband and I love, having a drink or grabbing some food and hanging out. The Pearl's definitely a gem that when people write me from out of town or say, oh, where should I take somebody? People automatically go to the Riverwalk, which is great. But I always say, if you really want them to fall in love with the city, you need to take them to the Pearl because it's so beautiful and unique. And I love it there too. We live in the Alamo Ranch area, and we like to go downtown a lot too. And people are like, really, you drive that far? But for us, hopping on 151 down to the downtown area is actually faster than trying to go like even to the La Cantera area, much less like Stone Oak and stuff. So we ended up going downtown quite a bit. As well. We love Southtown. Like, we love to hang out at the Friendly Spot, grab snacks. My kids can, hang out. We can watch a Spurs game. My little one can play on the playground. Like I said, we'll sometimes go out to the Rim area or like La Cantera and walk around and jump around there. But really, Pearl, Southtown, those two kind of, we sometimes go along the St. Mary's Strip now too. We found a couple of places that we really like around there, like Columns, Attic Girl. There's some great patios and brunch places over there. So those are usually the places, if we're going to kind of venture out, that's where we go.
Wow, you've given us some great ideas.
Yeah. we it's kind of I guess, I don't know if we're like most people, but sometimes we'll find a place, we really like it. The next thing you know, that's where we're going most of the time. And in the city like this, that means you may be enjoying yourself, but you're missing a lot of other things. So what have you found, I guess, in the changes in diversity and types of food that's around, or, just the style of places, whether they're formal or casual or, street taco places or whatever. What's piquing your interest these days?
So I really love some of the food truck parks that have popped up around town, because I think it really does give you an opportunity to, taste some new up-and-comers that may not have the financial backing to open a whole restaurant yet. Plus, again, you'll see a theme as I speak, because it's many of them are family oriented, which makes it much easier for me and my husband to get out there and enjoy it if there's things to keep our kids occupied, especially with the wide range of ages that we have. I think too, just some of the more relaxed spots. I think we've always done a good job around town of having more of the excellent fine dining options when you think, going downtown and like the Palm and different places that you can get a really nice meal. But then if you are looking for now just a place where you can get some great craft beer or a nice cocktail or some really good snacks that you can enjoy as an adult, but also have the kids, have, I think that's where we've really started to grow. Also, when you think just separately of without kids, places that we started to reimagine, like the old fire station downtown, that's now the Battalion, is such a cool place with a great, different kind of vibe. I love finding places like that kind of reinvent themselves, that have some history behind it, that isn't just kind of, a random strip mall, which there's nothing wrong with that either. But I love that we've started to embrace some of the history and reimagine some of those spaces.
There's a ton of that history here, and that's one of the reasons we love the city. I grew up in New Orleans. Melissa grew up a little bit up the river from New Orleans toward Baton Rouge. So we're used to those areas where they have 300 years of history. Well, what we didn't realize when we first moved here was San Antonio's got the same thing. And yeah, like you're saying, the fact that people are finding that and using those settings, or just the inspiration from it, is really pretty neat.
Yes,
we were talking to Andrew Guiano that does Southside Bottling with Texacola not long back, and he was saying that he can trace his family back 300 years, and
wow.
all of it here in town. So it's or what was before the town, I guess. But just,
that's cool though.
Yeah. You could see that reflected in the flavors that he's putting together in these craft sodas that they're doing. So that probably follows along the same theme. Well, what are some of the hot spots, I guess? Are there places that you're seeing the crowds come to, or are there I don't know, just recommendations, and maybe from breakfast to brunch to maybe late night spots, or like you talked about, family places? Any tips for folks that are listening?
That's a broad spectrum, there, Kevin.
It is. It's a big question.
Yeah, it is.
I want to know everything.
It is. I'll try to narrow that down to a couple of our favorites. There's a spot called Mina and Demi that is over by Lackland Air Force Base, and it's in an old shopping center. You would not guess from the outside that it was anything special. You probably wouldn't stop if you didn't know it was there, but it is our absolute favorite restaurant in San Antonio. They have been there for probably 30 years, maybe 20, 30 years. But you walk in and you literally feel like you're walking into a little Greek restaurant in Greece. It's been family owned. The food is excellent. The atmosphere is wonderful. They have belly dancers on Friday and Saturday nights that come out. They do these toga parties every month or every couple months where you pay one meal and they give you like a 5-course meal with unlimited wine, and you like throw plates against the wall. And again, belly dancers, it's just like the coolest place with the best food. The people that have been waiting tables there have been there since we've been going. Everyone that I've ever sent there comes back saying they love it. So that would be like probably my number one place to say. It's a hidden gem. I hate to even almost give it away, but I'd love to support them. But it's just so good. If you love Greek food, you have to try it. Probably our second place that we love to do as adults is the downstairs at the Esquire. So I think the Esquire bar it's kind of off the Riverwalk across from the Aztec Theater. And upstairs, I think, is known for being the longest wooden bar in Texas, or maybe even America. I don't know. But it's a cool place upstairs, but they have this kind of hidden place downstairs that opened a year or two ago, maybe a little longer than that. I don't know the exact dates, but you go downstairs and it's just this really cool speakeasy vibe, great music, super intimate, awesome date place. But the best part about it is they have this charcuterie board that is just out of this world. They homemake different chocolates and candies that they put on there. They have the best cheeses and spreads and different popcorns and just like everything. We love to go there. And we can make a meal out of it. So those two are kind of at the top of my list. I would say the third place that we love is called La Frite in Southtown. And it's definitely, it's kind of it's French food, but if you love mussels, which we do, they have the absolute best mussels and French fries ever. They also have a great cheese board there, but the service is always great. It's another one of those places, and you'll kind of start to see our taste that we love. The little places that you walk in, it almost feels like, a little spot in New Orleans or a little spot in London that it's kind of old and homey, and you walk in and it feels truly mom and pop and intimate. And so those are probably my 3 go-to. I'm not sure if I would call them like super hot spots yet, but definitely you won't have a bad meal or a bad drink at any of them.
Melissa's looking. This is one of those parts that I'm going to edit because Melissa looked like she was about to say something and she didn't.
Well, no, when you mentioned the Esquire, I've been to the Esquire a couple of times, mainly upstairs. But we really enjoyed it. We went, a bunch of girls, we went to the Esquire before we went to see what I call Faux Journey in concert, and it was great.
Yes. Yes, I love it there. And like I said, if you ever get a chance to just hop downstairs too, they make really great drinks, and just that charcuterie board is to die for. It's so good.
Well, you've mentioned several places that, like are on our list, like Battalion. I have an attorney that I work with who that was her first recommendation when I asked her, where should we go that's new and something different? And she's like, oh, you got to go here. And we haven't made it there yet. But you've also mentioned several things so far that we've not even heard of. And we're nosy. We like to try to find new stuff and see what's out there. And somehow we haven't come across them. So thanks for sharing those. That's
awesome.
Cool.
No, I'm very glad. Yes. And Battalion just started doing brunch. So, if you like brunch, that may be a great meal to have there first, even before dinner.
Well, one of the places too, we keep seeing stuff pop up about, I guess, because, how the internet is, you do a search for something and the next thing you see it for the next 5 days. But I was
so true.
It pops up in your Facebook feed.
Yeah, we've got a friend, John Largent, we did a podcast with recently, and he recommended a place called Eastside Kitchenette. It's over by Fort Sam. Have you been there? Because that's a place where it's on our list to go to also. It just looks pretty cool.
It does look so cool, and I have not been there yet.
Oh, well, there's an opportunity.
One of those places. Yeah, so if you guys get there before me, you definitely have to tell me what you think, because it looks great. It looks fabulous. I keep seeing it pop up too, but we haven't made it out there yet.
Melissa's not talking again. I don't know what her deal. Are you shy now? You haven't been on for a while?
I haven't been on for a while. I'm a little microphone nervous, okay? I'm sorry.
Well, that's what they make the editing button for. Oh, so anyway, but yeah,
I think you should leave it in because I like y'all's banter.
Oh my gosh!
Everybody says y'all's banter is so cute. It's really just me being nervous and Kevin go, "What's up?"
Me staring at her, going, "Please say something." Oh gosh! Oh no! I guess one of the things too we wanted to talk about, or at least I was thinking about, hopefully Melissa's okay with, is just the whole thing of doing the whole Instagram thing. I mean, we post stuff about the podcast and we'll share some things here periodically when we go somewhere or something like that. But I can't say I understand much about it. What's it like being, I guess as popular as you are? Or how do you manage that presence either on Instagram or on Twitter or, just that social persona, I guess?
Yeah, it's been a learning process for sure, because you want to, grow and get the right exposure, but not over inundate people so that they're tired of seeing you. So it's definitely been a little bit of a science and an art, to kind of figure out what people want to see and hear and what they like. So, managing it over the last year, I've learned just kind of, again, to be really interactive within the community and within Instagram. I think in the beginning, I was very intimidated by it as well, because there's like a core group of quote unquote foodies or influencers in San Antonio that have been established for a really long time. So to kind of come into it brand new, like I said, was a little intimidating at first, because you don't want people to think you're stepping on toes or you don't really know what you're doing. And it's just, if you get invited to an event, the first time you walk in, you're like, what am I doing here? This is so awkward. But I think through it, I've met some great people. One of the first people I reached out to was Amanda, SA Foodie, who's kind of one of our biggest foodies here in town. And she was so nice to me in the very beginning, just really helped answer questions. Like if I kind of did something that was kind of outside of the norm or not a best practice, she would be really great to let me know, hey, you may want to try it this way, or you might want to change this, or, and so it was really great to find someone that wasn't competing with you right off the bat and just trying to help, and the same sort of goal in mind to help the city of San Antonio find these gems and the business owners that are living their dream. But other than that, it's, there are times too where you're like, oh gosh, I just can't keep up with this. I don't know. And then, you get someone that says, oh, I found this place, and they tag you in it, and they're like, thank you so much for letting me know. And you just feel this sense of accomplishment, like you really helped connect people together. And so, I'm not really sure, to be honest with you. It's like a little bit of just trying to figure it out at the same time. And I feel like I'm a little bit older than a lot of the people that do it around the city. So I feel like I'm a little bit of the outsider. I'm the old lady that's, talking about kids and, have a regular life where I can't go even to a lot of the cool events around town that some of the agencies and stuff invite me to, that I'm so thankful for. But if it's a Tuesday night at 5:00, I'm either working or I have the kids or something like that. So managing that across all of it has been a little bit of a challenge, but for the most part, everyone's been really supportive.
Well, going back to the essay, Foodie helping you out with yours, and, with the Instagram stuff, I went to on a craft beer tour. And Kevin signed me into our Instagram account. And I said, well, how do you do this? So he showed me how to do it. And then by the end of the day, he goes, I think I've created a monster.
It is. It's kind of addicting.
It is.
Because you're like trying to figure it out, trying to do it. And you're like, if you figure out you've done something that people like trying to recreate it. So it is kind of cool to figure out what you're doing, and it is a little bit addicting for sure.
And then you got all the different little tones and stuff, and you asking the people in your group, hey, how does this look? Okay, we'll do that one. Okay.
Well, and
I'm still trying to figure that out. My husband keeps saying, you need to get a real camera, because I do everything on my iPhone, but a real camera is pretty expensive. I'm like, oh, I just can't decide if I really, if it's worth such a huge investment to get a new camera or do these kind of things. And then every time I meet with a blogger, they'll tell me about a new photo app that you can use to kind of make things pop. Again, I was in the very beginning just posting pictures on my phone straight up. Now I've found out, you can make the red pop here, or you can
it's
change
fun to play with the pictures.
The tone. Yeah, it totally is. I didn't even know half that stuff existed. So it's cool.
It's a lot. One of the things I've been trying to learn recently on that is the whole stories thing. And then setting up the feature. I don't know if it's the right word, but the featured stuff. I'm old, and I'm not even going to comment on Melissa because she's feeling better, and I don't want her to throw anything at me. But
you're close enough. I could kick you.
Yeah, that's probably right. But anyway, we're trying to figure this stuff out too. So I've just now, on ours, I've been able to go through and link or set up a featured post or something. I don't know what it's called with the little plus symbol for each of the folks we've interviewed. So
I think it looks great too. I saw it. I love it.
Oh, wow. I felt accomplished, when I did this, and I'm thinking, there's probably the 10-year-old sitting next to us, or
our daughter
in a restaurant. Yeah. Or our daughter could go, yeah, Dad, you should have done that 2 years ago. It's really out of date now.
I know it. I actually saw it, and it looks great. You did a good job. But the stories are something I've tried to figure out too. I think it is a great way to get a little more personal. I try to put stuff on there that's sometimes, a little bit more about me and my family, or just, what I'm doing for the day, so that they feel a little more personal connection with you. I try to keep the page for the main content of, stuff that's happening around the city or different restaurants. But I like that you now have the option to kind of do that where it doesn't maybe mess up the vibe of your page, where it might be something that's a little out of the ordinary, but it's something you want to share.
Well, speaking of your kids, do they have favorite places they like to go to eat?
So, yeah, they do, but they're not that exciting. No, you know what? They love El Chaparral and Helotes because it's got a huge play area, so they love that. You can sit on the patio, and they have a huge play area with a big view and grassy area where they can run around. They love Big's Burger Joint because, again, huge, fake grass area where they can run around. You can bring a football or a basketball. They can have their food and just run crazy. And so they tend to like places like that. Two-Step Cantina over here off Braun and 1604 is another great one. They almost always on the weekends have live music, and my kids really enjoy that. And then they have an enclosed grassy area too that they can kind of just run around in. So there's a little theme there in case you haven't noticed.
Yeah.
They like to be able to run around.
Those are some good tips, though.
Our daughter's favorite thing, do they have Coca-Cola and does it have Wi-Fi and is it free?
Listen, the Wi-Fi is huge. They always know now where the Wi-Fi is, especially my 13-year-old. For sure.
Well, one of the places we stumbled on, I guess, a while back when my parents were in town, this has probably been a few visits of theirs ago, was the Pig Pen off of Broadway. I guess it's in Alamo Heights, that area.
You're asking the wrong person.
I don't know where the lines are drawn, but anyway, it's got the kids kind of play area in the back, but it's also got the breakfast buffet, the brunch thing on Sundays,
live music.
And, they have live music, and we found my dad loved, but we found this place, and the band that day was Big Cedar Fever out of Austin. They do a lot of shows here. It's just a trio.
Cool.
Like Texas Western swing music. And my dad just flipped, and we've been following him now online. But, you stumble into places like that.
And where was it?
It's off Broadway, I guess up Broadway from the Pearl. I think it's Alamo Heights. It's that area. It's across from the Whitty. Let's put it that way. That's probably the best geographic direction I can get. But it's across from the Whitty Museum.
The Pig Pen?
The Pig Pen, yes.
Yes, I love it. Okay, sorry, I missed that part. I didn't hear what you said. Yeah, I love that place. Pen.
Yeah, and it was just a place we saw online. Somebody posted about. And how often do you get feedback, I guess, from folks that are finding what you're, where you're going, and then they go and they contact you? Is that a common thing? Do you get other tips?
Yeah, it is, and it's one of my favorite parts. It's like definitely, I love it when people reach out and ask me, "Hey, I'm trying to go here," or, my boyfriend is, graduating from the military, or, where should I go? My family's coming in, something like that. I love people asking questions like that. I usually push back a little and like, the hardest question to answer is like, "Hey, where should I go eat tonight?" And I'm like, "Oh, I just need a little more information than that." It's a little bit hard. I'll say like, "What area of town? What do you like to do? What do you like to eat?" But I'm very lucky that every time someone asks me that, and I ask them to, "Hey, let me know what you think," so I know if I'm giving you good advice or if you didn't enjoy it. I really want the honest feedback, and almost everybody does, so it's really nice.
Well, what are some of the? I'll give you an example. What are some of the unusual things maybe that doing this has led to? Some of the more fun or weird opportunities. The one from ours was when we were doing this back in South Carolina years ago. Disney World invited, I think it was 100 food bloggers, and we did a podcast at the time too about our website and the local area of South Carolina we lived in. But they invited us all down for a couple of years in a row to go and learn about their healthy food stuff they were doing in the parks. And, they put us up in a hotel, and of course they fed us, all that other kind of stuff. And that would never have happened.
Park tickets.
Yeah, park tickets would never have happened without doing what we were doing at the time. So what has doing this led to for you that's just been kind of cool?
Yes, we are so lucky that so many people have reached out and offered so many cool opportunities. We've done some partnerships with SeaWorld where luckily we already have passes because we adore SeaWorld, but they've reached out and they have a lot of really cool events. They've really upped their beer and food game there. So they have the Seven Seas Food Festivals where they have 7 countries around the park, and you can get a lanyard and you could punch out drinks and foods from across the different areas. They have a great Oktoberfest there and a really cool Christmas event, and they've reached out and given us an opportunity to come experience that and talk about it, which has been really nice. SA Current has been an awesome partner where they do some incredible events like United We Brunch that we just did a couple of weeks ago out at the La Cantera Resort that they invited me out to go to, and that was just an incredible experience. To be able to, meet different restaurants is a great way to meet a lot of people in a short period of time. But, they've done a lot. Zula Law has been amazing. That's another event in the city that we've been able to experience that has, it's so fun. There's a lot of little events like that you just don't really think about or realize that are happening. That it's probably been one of my favorite parts about doing this is just that, oh, wow, we didn't even know that this happened or this went on. And now it's like, oh, that was one of the most fun nights we've had in San Antonio. And so I love being invited to stuff like that, even if it's, not free. That always is a great perk. But even if they're just like, hey, we wanted to tell you about this, it's like, oh, wow, cool. And, able to share that with other people. And so definitely some of the perks are lovely. It's definitely not a bad thing. Oh, yeah. But in some of the newer restaurant openings and stuff like that are always great. So it's fun.
Well, that's something too. I guess it's always happening. There's always something new coming out. There's always something new being built or some new theme. And it's just, that's got to be fun too, just to stay on top of and try to manage. It may also be a challenge, but
yeah. And probably the coolest thing that you just kind of triggered my brain is, since I've been a little girl, I kind of remember Thomas J. Henry's name being talked about in the city. They're kind of, it's a lawyer, but in San Antonio, he's like super famous. They do a lot around the community, and over the last couple of months, they have reached out to ask if I would start to partner with them on doing some giveaways across the city that they're part of. And so that has been really cool. They gave us tickets to an event at the St. Mary's Oyster Bake where we got to go to, I think it's like the president's reception. And we got to meet all of the Fiesta, what do you call them? Like the king and queen and all.
Fiesta court.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And so, and it was like free oysters and food and just like a ton of like cool local celebrities. And they gave us those tickets just to like come and hang out. So we were able to give away some tickets for them. And they have this partnership with Santikos where they do like movie premieres for every movie that comes out. And so that's been super neat that they actually wanted to come talk to little old me and have them help, get their name out. And so they've been really great. And some of the events that they did, I had no idea that they were a part of, but they actually do a ton of stuff around the community.
That's when we first visited before moving here. We were walking downtown somewhere, and my instinct, having, lived in different places and been to different cities, was, keep my wife and daughter close because you never know who's walking down the street towards you or whatever else. And, right. And what we found was like there was this guy walking past that didn't look like he was in the best shape in the world. Looked like he'd been around a while. And he walked right past us and he said, "Hey, how are you today?" And just kept on going. And
people are so nice.
It was a shock. Yeah. People are amazing in this city.
They really are.
And that's what you prompted me to think about. It's like, we're really fortunate to live here. I love living here. Melissa does. My daughter does. She's had so many opportunities in the city just in the 3.5 years we've lived here. I think that's the other piece about what you do is you're uplifting a lot of folks. You're uplifting the city. You're sharing some things that when people are having a hard day, they can go, you know what? I need to go do that. I need to treat myself, or, I just need to realize where I live. Yeah.
We really do have an amazing community, and I'm so glad that you've fallen in love with it too. People are always telling me, "Oh, you are like the major Kool-Aid drinker," but I'm like, I really am. This city is so special. People are so nice. There's so much to do. It's so inexpensive to live here, which is so wild.
Exactly.
And it's just, but everybody, like you said, you walk them through, people just say hello. People always want to help, and it's just, even our basketball team, we're like the nicest basketball team in the country, like everything, I think we're just a really compassionate group of people that genuinely like being here and are happy.
Yeah. For a city that's as diverse as this is, with all the different cultures and people from literally from all around the world, 300 plus years worth of history, people get along really well. There's interest across every cultural line you can draw. And
that's right.
Yeah, it is a lot of fun.
And food is a common interest.
Yeah, the food. Yeah.
Amen. Amen.
You know, we used to joke when we did the thing years ago about the fact that, at least for me, growing up, I grew up with Italian grandparents and French grandparents, or Cajun, I should say, grandparents.
I'm more Cajun than you are.
Yeah, Melissa's a lot more Cajun. But, you know, growing up, it was like...
I bet you guys got good food growing up.
Oh, gosh.
Oh,
too much
yes.
of it. But, you know, the whole thing was when you were celebrating something, that you went out to eat. You know, when someone passed away, you went out to eat. You know, on Sundays, you had the big dinner. It's like everything focused one way or another around food. And we've found that we've made some of the best friends, you know, on the planet through what we did way back when, and now through this. So thank you very, very much for being on the show.
And thank you for what you're doing. I think this podcast is awesome. I love that you're highlighting the city, and I appreciate all that you guys are doing for it as well. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome. And thank you, everybody who's listening. I'm happy that Melissa's back, and I hope you are as well. If you've got any comments,
please.
Hopefully, what?
I said, oh, please.
Yes, I am happy that she's back. Believe it or not. But if you've got any comments or questions, you can always reach us on all the socials and through the email at podcast@beyondriverwalk.com. So thank you, Jennifer Donbavand.
Perfect.
Got it right.
Yay!
All right. I did it in the beginning. I wasn't sure if I was going to get it right at the end.
Nailed it.
And thank you again, like I said, everybody, for listening. Please share your comments. Go and follow Jennifer at Alamo Foodie on Instagram and Twitter and wherever else. And we'll be following it as well. So again, contact us if you got any questions, and we will see you again around the Alamo City.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Beyond the Riverwalk. Send your comments, questions, and suggestions to podcast@beyondriverwalk.com. As always, subscriptions to our show are free and available wherever you find podcasts, as well as on our website. Until next week, join us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for more conversations about our community.